What's going on, people? This thing says I'm live, so I should be. Yeah, there's counting. Welcome back to my channel, people. I hope you're doing great. My name obviously is Lukani Sochikela. Like the name of the YouTube channel is my name, basically. Now, I haven't posted a video in a very long time. I think the last time I posted was like in January. And the reason why I haven't posted is because so obviously I'm at uni, I'm in university, and it's been kind of like a nice experience. But obviously at the beginning, a bit difficult in terms of adjusting and all of that. So yeah, that's why I haven't posted in a while. But obviously I do watch football all the time, and I thought to myself, you know what? Yes, I'm busy at school, but I still make the time to watch every football game for Manchester City, which is the club that I support, obviously. So I thought, you know what, yeah, let me try at least. I don't. Yes, sometimes maybe I may be busy or something like that, but let me at least try and make sure that I make some videos just to keep my channel going. So that's why I'm kind of I'm back, and I want to post more regular content. Obviously, the new season is coming. Today is the 20th of July, and the season kicks off on the 12th of August. The Premier League season, that is Manchester City versus Burnley on Friday, the 12th of August. But obviously, there's the Community Shield on the 7th of August, 5 days before. So it's on the Sunday, basically, of the week before. Manchester City versus Arsenal. But obviously, first, let's start with last season. Actually, okay, you know what? I wanted to say like the stream with my friend, but to my friend who's also a City supporter. But I'll just get on with it. So let's start with last season. Now, last season, I said, so I made some predictions, right? At the beginning of the season. I still remember I said City finished first in the Premier League. I said Liverpool going to finish second. I said Arsenal, because Arsenal were really good. They were really good last season. And then I think at about match week 10, I was like, hey, Liverpool, I don't know. I don't know. Like Arsenal look really good. I mean, Arsenal last season. I said, if Arsenal beat Liverpool, then I'm changing my pick. And Arsenal beat Liverpool. I think it was 3-2. I think it was at the Emirates. This was last year. And I said, you know what? I'm going City first, Arsenal second. So obviously that's how it panned out. And I said that Liverpool, I think, are going to finish third, which obviously I was wrong because Liverpool didn't make the top four last season. They finished fifth. It was City, Arsenal, Man United, and Newcastle. Newcastle have arrived, people, and they're here to stay because obviously they backed by the PIF fund from Saudi Arabia. So therefore, they are not like they can spend a bit of money on the market and all that. So Newcastle are here to stay. So obviously, those are the four clubs that made top four. Liverpool in the Europa League. I think Brighton are in the Europa League as well. Chelsea didn't make Europe. I think I actually had Chelsea in my top four. Chelsea didn't make Europe. It was a turbulent season for them last season. But I did say City are going to win the league, and we did win the league. And we actually won the treble as well. We won the Champions League and we won the FA Cup. Now, I never thought, in fact, not I never thought, I always dreamed that we were going to win the Champions League. But obviously, I had a lot of scars from the Champions League, especially 2 seasons ago when we lost to Real Madrid in like 2 minutes, basically. We were leading 2-0, and 2 minutes later, the game was level and it was going to extra time, and you end up losing to Real Madrid during extra time. So I didn't really kind of like, even though in my wildest dreams I dreamed of us winning the Champions League, I didn't really predict that. But obviously we did win it. And it was a great season for us and won the Champions League, and the FA Cup and the Premier League. So we won the treble basically, which only Man United have ever done before. Obviously they did it in 1999 under Sir Alex Ferguson. So great achievement by the football club, and obviously that elusive Champions League title that we always wanted, because the Champions League was the only trophy that we hadn't won. The people kept saying that Pep Guardiola can be called some of the greatest, like one of the greatest managers of all time, because he hasn't won the Champions League with Manchester City, which is a bit ironic to me because he did win the Champions League 2 times with Barcelona. So that's a bit of a flawed argument in my opinion, but that's neither here nor there. We did win the Champions League last season. It was a great season for us. Now, I want to mainly talk about transfer updates here, and then I'll just preview the upcoming season. Last season is last season. Obviously, I'm buzzing that we won the Champions League, and it's so fulfilling because there's a lot of people that said we'll never win the Champions League. We're a plastic club. We're plastic fans, and even Sir Alex Ferguson himself once said that we'll never win. Like, not in my lifetime will Manchester City ever be more dominant and have a more successful period than Manchester United, which obviously right now we are currently having that spell whereby in the last 10 years we are way more successful than Manchester United. Obviously, the brand that is Manchester United and the history of Manchester United is still bigger than Manchester City because Manchester City have only existed in terms of success for the last 10, 12 years since the new ownership came in like 2008. So Man United have existed since like the 1950s in terms of their success. They first won their first Champions League was won in like the 1950s. So by no means am I saying that we're a bigger club than Man United or whatever. I'm not deluded. I love Manchester City, but Manchester United are a bigger football brand and a bigger football club than Manchester City. But at this moment in time, we are enjoying the most successful period in our club's history. And obviously, we are currently more successful than Manchester United in terms of this spell that we're in right now. So that's great. But I just wanted to do some transfer updates. So obviously in the Premier League at this moment in time, there's a Saudi Arabia exodus, if you like. Everyone is going to Saudi Arabia because the PIF fund. So actually, a bit of background to this: the people who own Newcastle, so Newcastle United, the people who own them, that investment fund, I think it's called the Public Investment Fund or whatever. It's basically funded by the Saudi Arabian government. So that PIF fund basically invested, I think, no, not 20 billion. Is it 20 billion? I think it's 20 billion. I think it's 20 billion pounds that was invested for football only. So they basically took 20 billion pounds and they put it in the Saudi Pro League. And the goal was to basically attract some of the best players in Europe and attract them to that Saudi Arabian league. That's why they first signed Cristiano Ronaldo in January, I think, when he left Man United. And then they've been kind of like going here and there, trying to basically sign some of the top players that have played in Europe. Obviously, Benzema actually has gone there as well. Benzema also plays for like Al Hilal, I think. He left Real Madrid and he went there. So their goal is to basically make football relevant in their region. They want to attract some of the best players in Europe into their league. And obviously, the only way they can do that is by offering them way more money than what they are being offered in Europe. So, for example, I think Ronaldo is getting paid like 100 million net per season. Now, that means that he basically, after taxes, he earns 100 million pounds. Now, that's way more than what he was earning when he was at Manchester United, because at Manchester United, he was earning £500,000 a week. Now, if we just go to our calculator here quickly, £500,000 a week. Let's just check quickly. Yeah, quickly. No, man. 500,000 times 48, because that's 48 weeks in a year. That adds up to 24 million a year, right? Now imagine you are currently earning 24 million and actually this is 24 million gross. Because remember in the UK there's taxes, right? So therefore, as he was earning £500,000 a week, that was before taxes. After taxes, it was less than that. Now imagine you being offered 100 million, which is way more than the 24 million before taxes that you were being paid. And now this 100 million is after tax. So it's very difficult for some players to actually reject these offers from Saudi Arabia. And I don't blame any of them, because if you were doing some job, whatever it is, you're an accountant or you are I don't know, whatever you are, and you get offered like triple your salary, and you're not going to be charged any tax on it, it's very difficult to turn that down. I wouldn't turn it down. I would go. Like I would go. I mean, I'm not even gonna lie about it. Like I'll take the bag. So I don't blame these players going to Saudi Arabia because I would do exactly the same thing. Because if you're being offered like 3 times the amount of money you're earning now before taxes, and you're being told that triple, like that amount that is going to be 3 times what you're earning right now, you're actually gonna earn that money without paying any taxes. Like that's a very good deal, and I mean that's not a deal I would reject personally. So that's why most of these players are going to Saudi Arabia. Obviously, at this moment in time, yesterday, Fabrizio Romano actually put him on the like as a thumbnail for this YouTube video. I'm not trying to kind of like impersonate myself as Fabrizio Romano or whatever, but obviously he's the go-to guy with regards to transfer news or whatever. Also, shout out to David Ornstein from The Athletic. He's also pretty reliable in terms of he's a journalist, and with regards to transfer news, if you want to stay up to date with transfer news and stuff like that, check out David Ornstein on Twitter or The Athletic. Also, check out Fabrizio Romano on Twitter or on YouTube. And they're always kind of like bringing you up to date with the latest transfer news. Yesterday, Mahrez of Manchester City, basically, he's going to Saudi Arabia. A deal was agreed between, I forgot that side, like I forgot what the team is, but basically they're going to pay City 30 million plus 5 million in add-ons, and Mahrez is going to go to Saudi Arabia. So obviously he leaves Manchester City and he's going to go to Saudi Arabia. Ruben Neves has left Wolves and he's gone to Saudi Arabia. Benzema has left Real Madrid, he's gone to Saudi Arabia. Obviously Ronaldo was the first one to kind of go there. Messi has gone to MLS, he's left PSG. Obviously that's kind of not relevant because I was kind of talking about this whole Saudi Arabia exodus and all the players that are going to Saudi Arabia. Oh, also Fabinho at Liverpool, he's going to go to Saudi Arabia. He's already agreed personal terms with a club in Saudi Arabia. They are currently, I think, discussing the official, like they're currently exchange Liverpool and this club that Fabinho is going to play for are currently exchanging the official documents for a 40 million pound transfer for Fabinho for him to go to Saudi Arabia. Jordan Henderson is also going to go to Saudi Arabia. He's gonna join the team that Steven Gerrard is now coaching there, because Gerrard also went there and he's a coach there now. Yeah. So like who else is going to Saudi Arabia? There's lots of players that are being linked with moves to Saudi Arabia. And obviously, as I've said, the goal of the Saudi Pro League, or of the Saudi Arabian kind of sports government or whatever, they want to make the Saudi Arabian league relevant, and they want to build it so that it's one of the best leagues in the world. Now, whether they're going to get there, I'm not too sure, but obviously the only way they can attract the best players in Europe to that league is by offering them way more money than what they're earning in Europe. And that's what they're doing currently. They're just offering them more money, and therefore for most of these players, it's very difficult for them to turn down these offers because, as I've said, if you're being offered triple the amount that you're currently earning and you're not going to have to pay any taxes on it, I will take it as well. So that's the Saudi Arabian whatever. Now, with regards to the Premier League, because obviously in this channel, I mainly talk about the Premier League. I'm a Man City fan, so I'm going to start with Manchester City and their transfer news. I've already spoken about Riyad Mahrez. I will also talk about Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Tottenham. Tottenham. I won't talk about Tottenham. I don't know most of the players that they're signing. I'll just touch on them but I'm not really like I don't really know a lot of the players that Tottenham are signing. But and Arsenal as well. So I'll mainly talk about Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool, Tottenham, and I think I've already said Man City, but whatever. So basically, I'm just going to touch on that with regards to the transfer updates, and then I'm going to just preview the season for Manchester City in terms of like what we are expecting to achieve this season, and yeah, and then I'll probably end the video there. But basically, starting with Man City, as I've already said, Riyad Mahrez has already agreed personal terms with a club in Saudi Arabia. I think it's called Al Hilal or something. Let me actually go on Twitter. Because I have Fabrizio Romano's profile right here on Twitter. Riyad Mahrez is going to Saudi Arabia. He's already agreed personal terms there. Manchester City have agreed a transfer fee with that club that wants to sign Riyad Mahrez. Yeah, here it is. Riyad Mahrez undergoing medicals as new Al Ahly. I think that's how you say it in Arabic. Al Ahly. Forgive me if I said it wrong. He's currently undergoing a medical. This was posted 50 minutes ago. This is the Twitter page of Fabrizio Romano. This was posted like 50 minutes ago. And Riyad Mahrez is going to go to Al Ahly. He's going to go to Saudi Arabia and he leaves Manchester City. Now, Riyad Mahrez, grateful for what he's achieved at the football club. He's just won the treble, obviously, last season. Even though he didn't feature a lot last season, he didn't play in the Champions League final, he didn't play in the FA Cup final. He played in many Premier League games, and he played in some Champions League games, but he didn't really feature as kind of like one of the main players. Like last season, our main starting 11 was like Edison, Stones, Walker, Diaz, Ake, Rodri, De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Haaland, Grealish, and Gundogan. Those are the main players that were kind of starting in the big games. So when I say big games, I mean the Real Madrid game in the Champions League, the Bayern Munich game in the Champions League, the Inter Milan game, the final of the Champions League. Those are the players that were mainly starting. So Riyad Mahrez wasn't really kind of featuring in the big games last season. But, for example, 2 seasons ago, when we were knocked out by Real Madrid in the Champions League, as I've already said, very hurtful moment for sure. But obviously, we've made up for that by battering them last season, beating them like 5-1 on aggregate, and obviously winning the Champions League this past season. But he was kind of like one of the main players 2 seasons ago and 3 seasons ago when we first reached when we reached our first Champions League final ever. So grateful to Mahrez for what he's done for the football club. I personally don't blame him for taking the bag because I would have done exactly the same thing. Because as I've said, like you just don't turn down that kind of money. And then another player that's left Manchester City, Ilkay Gundogan. He was actually unveiled, I think, 2 days ago as a Barcelona player. He left on a free transfer because his contract was coming to an end, and he joined Barcelona. Obviously, again, Ilkay Gundogan did a lot for the football club. Club legend, in my opinion. Last season, we don't win the Premier League without Gundogan. He scores two. When I say last season, I don't mean the season that's just gone by. 2 seasons ago, when we won the Premier League, we were 2-0 down at the Etihad. Final day of the season. Liverpool are breathing down our necks. They're only 1 point behind us. If they win their game against Wolves, they win the league, and we are currently losing. Gundogan comes off the bench, scores 2 goals, and we end up winning the game 3-2. Just that on its own. If he had just done that in his whole career at Man City, he would be a legend because he would have played a huge role in us winning winning a Premier League title. Obviously, last season he played a huge role in us winning the Premier League. Came up clutch in the big games last season in the Premier League. Played a huge role in the FA Cup final with 2 goals against Man United, and then also captained us to, because he was our captain basically, captained us to our first Champions League final. So that's pretty up there with some of the best players that we've ever had in the history of the football club. That's why for me, club legend. Wish him all the best at Barcelona, and it was great having him, to be honest, at the football club. Top player. And yeah, man, we move. And then at this moment in time, we've only signed Mateo Kovacic from Chelsea. Obviously, Kovacic, he's played for Real Madrid before. I think he spent like 4 years at Real Madrid. He's played for Inter Milan before. And obviously, most recently, he played for Chelsea. He's a mainstay in the Croatian national team, 29 years of age, in his prime. So I actually look forward to having Kovacic in the team. I think he's going to do really well because I think he's technically gifted. Technically, he's super talented. And I think him working with Pep Guardiola is only going to result in him improving as a player in general in terms of his football IQ. And the technique is already there. He already has the technical ability to be a great football player. But I think Pep is going to add little nuances to his game that is going to make him a much better player than he was at Chelsea. So I think it's a great signing for the football club, and he's got great understanding of the game. And I think, and also he can play like he can play as mainly as a number eight. I think his best position is mainly as a number eight. He can pick a pass. He can take the ball on the half turn. He has an eye for a short pass, a long pass, and obviously, as I've said, I think he's mainly like I think his best position is to play as a number eight. So obviously, like we have a three in midfield with Rodri, and then the two number eights, and then like I think one of those positions that's where I think he is going to thrive at Man City, and then so that's the only player that we've signed as of right now. Now, yesterday, Fabrizio Romano posted a here we go. Now, like when I say a here we go, Fabrizio Romano, when he posts about a transfer and he's basically confirming that the transfer is happening, he's gonna say, "Here we go." So obviously, those who follow him, you will know this, but that's what he basically says. So he basically said, "Here we go" yesterday on the deal between Man City and RB Leipzig. So Man City are in talks to sign Josko Gvardiol. That's how I say it. It's Gvardiol. Like a lot of people are saying it's like it's Guardiol or something. It's Gvardiol. So like it's GV, I think Ardiol. Gvardiol. So you just go Gvardiol. Croatian international, played really well in the World Cup in the winter. So not winter, like it was summer here in South Africa, but obviously it was winter in Europe and in other areas of the world, other parts of the world. Played really well for Croatia in the World Cup, and he's still young and he's super talented centre back, really promising future. Now, the figure that's being discussed is 100 million euros because thanks to Man United, RB Leipzig want a record fee for Josko Gvardiol in terms of defenders. Now, the record fee is held by Harry Maguire, his transfer from Leicester to Man United for £80 million, which is roughly around 90 million euros, I think, to 95 million euros. Now, RB Leipzig want 100 million euros because that's more than the 80 million pounds Manchester United paid for Harry Maguire. So they basically want a record fee for him. They want a record fee for Vardio. So that's what's being discussed at this moment in time. Now, Fabrizio Romano said that the two clubs have agreed in terms of the transfer fee and the structure of the deal. And Vardio has already agreed personal terms with Manchester City. He agreed personal terms over a month ago. Now, today he posted again and he said that RB Leipzig are not happy with the idea that Vardio has already been doing medicals with Manchester City. So there's a bit of tension. So he posted here like 3 hours ago saying, Gvardiol deal, tension with Man City and Leipzig during final stage of negotiations. Josko, he didn't complete the medical yet. Verbal agreement reached yesterday. Medical booked today, but then issues on club side after leak and no green light to medical. So apparently what happened is that Vardio was proceeding with a medical for Manchester City. So obviously, when a player is signed by a football club, he needs to do a medical. He needs to pass a medical. So now that is not actually allowed. So like the medical is not actually allowed until permission has been given by the football club selling the player to the club that is buying the player. So until the football club selling the player gives permission to the football club buying the player to actually do a medical is not allowed to proceed. So I think what's happened here is that City were basically trying to do a medical for Gvardiol, and that's before they got a green light from Leipzig. Now Leipzig are not happy about that. So that's the tension. But he says the deal is still on. So I expect this deal to be done maybe tomorrow or at the very latest, maybe on Monday next week. But it looks like that, like Vardio wants to join Manchester City because he's already agreed personal terms with Man City, and Man City are prepared to pay what Leipzig are asking for. So I don't expect that this deal is not going to proceed. I would expect that it will happen sooner rather than later. Now, at this moment in time, that's all I have with regards to Manchester City and the types of players that they're looking at. Obviously, as I've said, Riyad Mahrez has left Manchester City. He's currently doing a medical for Al Ahly. Now, I have seen reports from Sam Lee, who is the Manchester City correspondent for The Athletic, and he's basically said that Manchester City are actively looking for wingers. David Ornstein also reported this. Obviously, he's a chief reporter for The Athletic as well. He reported that Manchester City are looking at wingers because Riyad Mahrez is obviously leaving. So expect Manchester City to sign a winger to replace Riyad Mahrez. I just don't know who that is. I haven't heard of any names with regards to who that actually is. I've heard about Rafinha, who's at Barcelona, but there's no concrete evidence to suggest that Manchester City are looking at Rafinha. That's why I'm saying I haven't heard of anything with regards to who we're going to sign to replace Riyad Mahrez, but we will sign someone. Now, there are players being linked with moves away from the football club. Laporte, Walker, Bernardo Silva, and Joao Cancelo. Now, Cancelo last season fell out with Pep Guardiola. So basically, apparently what happened is that obviously what happened last season is that we weren't playing well. So obviously this happened a lot of the time. Not a lot of the time, but this happened when I stopped making videos. So around February, we weren't really playing well. Like we were kind of stop-start. December, January, February, it was kind of a stop-start season for us, right? I just wanted, okay. I just got a notification there from YouTube. So we're kind of having a stop-start season, right? And Pep Guardiola decided to drop Cancelo and play Nathan Ake instead. Now, apparently, Cancelo wasn't happy about that. And he was kind of throwing tantrums in the dressing room, basically making it known that he wasn't happy about the fact that he wasn't starting. Obviously, top managers don't like that kind of nonsense. And whenever a player does that, they tend to get rid of the player. And that's exactly what happened to Cancelo. Pep probably spoke to the board and he said, get rid of him. I don't want him here. He's upsetting the squad and he's upsetting the mood in the dressing room. And they got rid of him. He went to Bayern Munich. Now, Cancelo, when he was at Bayern Munich, he said something in the media, which is the main reason why when we played Bayern Munich in the first leg of the Champions League quarterfinal last season, he was booed by the fans when he came onto the football pitch. He started on the bench. When he came on, he was booed. He said that in 2021, so obviously in 2021, we played a Champions League final with Chelsea, who were being coached by Thomas Tuchel. Thomas Tuchel, who now coaches Bayern Munich. He said that he hopes that Tuchel can finally deliver him a Champions League medal because in 2021, he took one away from him. Now, that's factually correct because Thomas Tuchel was the manager of Chelsea at the time and Chelsea beat us in the Champions League final. However, you don't say that when your parent club is the club that was basically beaten by Thomas Tuchel and Chelsea that year. Because how do you think the fans are going to feel if you're basically saying that you hope that Thomas Tuchel delivers you a Champions League medal this season? So that means you hope Man City lose, right? Now you're a professional, so you should want to win at all costs. I'm not saying that he should have said he hopes Manchester City wins the game. However, he did not need to say that he hopes Tuchel wins him a Champions League, because then that kind of led to the fans turning against him. And now it's a very tricky situation with regards to how his future is going to be resolved at the football club. He still has 4 years left on his contract, and I don't know what's going to happen with him. He is on the preseason tour squad that reported this week. I don't know what's going to happen with him, though. Kyle Walker has agreed personal terms to go to Bayern Munich. So Kyle Walker is keen on a move to Bayern Munich. He's already agreed personal terms with Bayern Munich. And Bayern Munich are currently discussing a fee with Manchester City in terms of the transfer fee that they're going to offer Man City in order for Walker to go to Bayern. Now, I'm not entirely sure whether Walker will go to Bayern Munich because he has also been offered a new contract by Manchester City. He has a year left on his contract, and I think he's been offered a 2-year contract extension by Man City. Now, whether he's going to accept that or not, I do not know. He has already accepted a proposal, however, from Bayern Munich, which suggests that he is keen on the move. Now, one of the reasons why Walker is keen on a move is because last season he was not really happy with not starting the Champions League final, because he didn't start the Champions League final against Inter Milan, even though he came on late in the second half. But he wasn't happy with that, with the fact that he did not start. So I think that's why he is probably keen on a move away. But in terms of what's going to happen there, I'm not entirely sure. Bernardo Silva, again, this seems to be happening every summer. He's now he's linked with a move away. Now the clubs that obviously are being mentioned, it's Barcelona and PSG. Now, apparently, with regards to Bernardo Silva, it's not necessarily that he does not like being at Manchester City. And I'm not just saying this as a Man City fan to try and console myself or to try and convince myself that he does not want to leave Man City. But apparently his wife is the one who kind of is pushing this agenda of them trying a new adventure in another city. So basically, I think his wife has this idea of traveling around Europe and him playing for different clubs in Europe. And that's why he's kind of been agitating for a move for the past 2 years. Also, from what I heard during COVID, which is when this whole thing with Bernardo Silva and leaving Man City started, during COVID, obviously the players, well, no one was actually allowed to travel. So Bernardo Silva is obviously from Portugal, and apparently he used to travel basically every week to go and visit his parents in Portugal. And now for like 2, 3, 4 months, he wasn't able to do that because of the COVID restrictions. And that's when he was kind of feeling homesick and he wanted like a move away from Manchester City. But obviously, the COVID restrictions were lifted like 2 years ago already. So I don't know with regards to what's going to happen with Bernardo Silva. However, from what I'm hearing from Fabrizio Romano and other reliable journalists, Manchester City do not intend on selling Bernardo Silva, especially because they've already sold Riyad Mahrez to Al Ahly. So they've already lost Riyad Mahrez. They don't want to lose Bernardo Silva. Now, the only way that they will allow Bernardo Silva to leave is if they receive an offer for him that is either similar to the one Arsenal paid for Declan Rice or more. Now, Arsenal paid £105 million inclusive of add-ons to acquire Declan Rice from West Ham United. Now, Man City believe that Bernardo Silva is a better player than Declan Rice, which I would tend to agree, even though they play different positions. So therefore, Man City are using that sum, which is 105 million, as a barometer with regards to what they will be willing to accept for Bernardo Silva. Now, if no one comes with an offer that is similar to that 105 million pounds, then he's not going to leave because he still has 2 years left on his contract. So that's the story with Bernardo Silva. I don't know if he's going to leave, simply because I do not know if PSG are going to bid over 100 million for him. But from what I'm hearing, Manchester City will only allow Bernardo Silva to leave if they get an amount that is similar to the amount paid by Arsenal for Declan Rice, which is 105 million pounds. And then, so I've spoken about Walker, Silva, Cancelo. Laporte, I think, is definitely going to leave City. Last season, he wasn't happy with the amount of game time that he had, and Pep was also not happy with him because Pep is always not happy with players who basically are grumpy and are moody around the dressing room when they're not being picked. So Pep has this policy whereby he wants, if as a player you are not picked, he wants to see a reaction from you, in the sense that he wants to see a higher intensity of training from you. He wants to see you demonstrate a positive attitude towards not being picked, rather than just being grumpy and kind of moody around the dressing room because you haven't been picked. Now, apparently Laporte is one of the ones who are moody, like Cancelo. So therefore, Pep does not necessarily see eye to eye with him. Laporte also wants to play more regularly. So I think it's best for all parties for him to leave. I think he will leave this summer. I don't know where he's going to go, but I think Manchester City will be willing to sell him this summer for obviously, I don't know, whatever they can get for him. And yeah, that's it in terms of departures at City. Um, my mom is actually video calling me. Let me just say here that I am currently doing a YouTube video. Um, Flip, man, flip. No, I'll just call them later. Okay, sorry guys. So I was saying that's it with regards to transfer updates for Manchester City. I've spoken about the incomings, Kovacic. The next incoming I expect is Gvardio, and then also a winger. A winger is going to be signed by Man City because Riyad Mahrez is leaving and he's going to Al Ahly. Now, swiftly moving on, since I've spoken about this, as I've been like when I was speaking about Bernardo Silva, Arsenal have signed Declan Rice for £105 million from West Ham United. Declan Rice, top player, really, really good player. I think he's going to improve at Arsenal. He's still young as well, so he has a lot of room for improvement. Because he's still 24, so therefore he's not even in his prime, and he was one of the best defensive midfielders in the Premier League when he was playing for West Ham. And I think he can improve his game a bit more than just being a defensive midfielder at Arsenal. I think he's good enough in terms of his ball carrying ability to be a number 8 as well. I think he can basically add a few goals to his game. So I think it's a great signing by Arsenal. Obviously, Man City were also interested in signing Declan Rice because we did bid, I think, a total package of £90 million for him. But then Arsenal went up to 100, and then Man City were not interested in basically being in a bidding war, and therefore they pulled out of the race. And then Arsenal signed him, obviously, because they were able to reach an agreement with West Ham United, and they basically signed him. Great signing for Arsenal. And then they signed Jurien Timber from Ajax. He's a defender who can play right back and centre back, I think. Apparently, he's very good on the ball. I've never watched him, so I don't really know how good he is, to be honest. But apparently, he's good. But I haven't watched him, so I can't really say he's bad or whether he's good or whether he's going to be good in the Premier League. But from what I'm hearing from other people, he is a very good defender and he's very good on the ball, which is obviously what Mikel Arteta wants, because that's the style of play that he likes to play. Obviously, he copied it from Pep Guardiola, but that's neither here nor there. And then they also signed Kai Havertz. Now, Kai Havertz is an interesting one. Arsenal fans Arsenal fans are literally something else. When Kai Havertz was playing for Chelsea, he was a donkey. They literally every name under the sun that you can think of, they were calling Kai Havertz that. And as soon as they signed him, he's now one of the best prospects ever, and he's got huge potential. And Arteta is going to work magic with him. I apologize, guys. My voice was kind of going there. Now, I'm not saying that Kai Havertz is going to flop at Arsenal. I'm not saying that. I think, I'm not saying that he's going to flop at Arsenal. I can see him doing really well, but it's a bit ironic that a player like 3 months ago when he was playing for another football club, he was a donkey and he was every bad name under the sun. And now he's playing for a football club and he's now one of the best prospects and he's got huge potential. It's a bit like that's just being Arsenal. Like that's what they do. Um, yeah. So with regards to Arsenal, for me, I want to hear more from Arsenal fans about the pressure on them to win the Premier League. I keep hearing people talking about Pep Guardiola and spending money and him being a checkbook manager. Well, the only thing I'll say about Pep Guardiola is, irrespective of how much money he spends, he wins. That's what he does. He's a winner. Arteta is closing in on £800 million of spend since he's been at Arsenal as a manager, and he's won one FA Cup, which is simply not good enough. When Pep Guardiola spent upwards of 200 million in one transfer window. He won the Premier League and he won the League Cup in the same season. I want to hear the same energy from Arsenal fans with regards to Mikel Arteta. I keep hearing this thing from them that a good season with us, like a good season for us is going to be challenging again. No, you need to win. Like, I don't want to hear all of this nonsense about Pep Guardiola and him being a checkbook manager and whatever. Whereas when your manager spends a similar amount of money to when Pep was basically at the stage that Mikel Arteta is right now in his Arsenal career, and he's not winning anything. Like, finishing second behind Manchester City is not a trophy. Like, no matter how good Man City are, finishing second behind them is not a trophy. Like, there's no trophy for second. You finished second and you were the second best team in the country, so therefore you deserve a trophy for that. There is no trophy for it. The only trophy you win is by finishing first or winning another trophy. So I want to hear that energy from Arsenal fans, not this nonsense from them, like with regards to no, we're still rebuilding, we're still doing this, that, and the other. You need to win now. Like, I need to get that energy from them. And not this whole thing whereby they look at other managers of other football clubs and criticize them for spending money, whereas they're basically spending money right now. The pressure is on now. The pressure is on to deliver. You spend upwards of 200 million this summer, and they're still spending. They're not done yet. So the pressure is cranking up, and they need to start winning. Not this whole thing finishing second and all of this mediocrity. And that's it with regards to Arsenal as of right now. Apparently, there is interest on Thomas Partey from Saudi Arabia, but I think that's still being discussed, but there's nothing that has been agreed with regards to personal terms or whatever that I've heard of. So yeah. Oh, and also Granit Xhaka obviously left Arsenal. He went to Bayer Leverkusen when Declan Rice basically came to Arsenal. So I think that's all with regards to the business that Arsenal have done so far this transfer window. Now, the other clubs, who else are the other clubs? Liverpool. Liverpool have done some good business this transfer window. Obviously, obviously, it doesn't help them that they are losing Henderson and Fabinho. I've already spoken about that at the beginning of the video when I was talking about the Saudi Arabia, the Saudi Pro League, and all that. So I'm not going to talk about it again now. But Liverpool have signed Dominic Szoboszlai. Apparently, that's how you say it. You don't say the Z in his name. Szoboszlai. It's like I think it's SZO. So you might be tempted to actually say the Z when you pronounce it. Bulgarian, you don't say the Z, so it's like Szoboszlai. If I'm butchering the surname, then we'll just call him Dominic because he has a difficult surname. Difficult surname to pronounce. And then also they've signed Alexis McAllister from Brighton. So two good acquisitions from Liverpool. I think they're still trying to sign other players. Obviously, it doesn't help them that they've lost now Henderson and Fabinho, as I already said. But some good business from Liverpool. Interesting what they're doing in the window. Obviously, they still have a stacked attacking line with Jota, Salah, Diaz, Darwin Núñez, Cody Gakpo. I think if they can sign a few more players, maybe a few more midfielders, maybe one or two defenders, I think they can challenge again next season for the league. Because Liverpool are the real mentality monsters, not Arsenal. Arsenal are a bunch of bottle jobs who bottled the league last season, and you can clip that if you want to. But Arsenal are bottle jobs. There's no two ways about it. They bottled the league last season because they crumbled. Like when crunch time came, Arsenal crumbled like cheap cookies from the corner store. That's it's just plain and simple that way. They are bottle jobs. So for me, I fear Liverpool more than I fear Arsenal. I don't get the vibe from Arsenal with regards to here. I think they're really good in terms of their ability, but here I don't think they're as good as us. So therefore, I don't think they can beat us to a Premier League title. Liverpool, however, I think they've shown that they've got the bottle and the mentality to stick with us and challenge us and actually win a Premier League title. So I think if they can do a little bit more business, maybe sign a few, like maybe two, three midfielders, since they're losing Fabinho and Henderson, maybe sign one or two defenders, and then I think they will be well within their way of challenging for the league again. And then going on to Man United, Man United have just signed Andre Onana from Inter Milan. Now, Andre Onana is a really good goalkeeper, good with his feet, and I think he's a bit overrated, in my opinion, because I'm hearing some Man United fans. Obviously, Man United fans are deluded together with Arsenal fans. Some fans are saying that he is top one or top two in the world or whatever. I don't agree with that. I think top two goalkeepers in the world. I will say, in fact, I'll do a top three, and this is the top tier. It's Edison, Allison, and Courtois for Real Madrid. I cannot leave Courtois out because that guy is brilliant. Now, he's not as good with his feet as Edison and Allison, but damn, is he good with his reflexes. Like, he's really good. I have to put him in the top three. For me, Onana maybe falls into the top five bracket, but not top two or no. I gotta see it in the best league in the world, playing for Man United. Let's see how he does before we start mentioning him in conversations of being top three or top two in the world. So you just signed Andre Onana. Obviously, they got rid of David De Gea because obviously he was awful towards the latter stages of last season. He was making silly errors, and obviously he's not good enough with his feet, which is what Eric Ten Hag wants from his goalkeeper. So that's why they got rid of him basically. Um, and then also Man United have signed Mason Mount from Chelsea. I think Mason Mount is a brilliant signing for Man United. I think he's going to do really well at Man United, being coached by Ten Hag. The stability he's going to get at Man United, I think he's going to be really good. If I'm being perfectly honest, I see a lot of Chelsea fans saying that they did the right thing by letting him go, and he is not good enough. Now, Mason Mount is getting a bad rap because last season he had a poor season, but apart from last season, he was a brilliant player for Chelsea. So for me, I don't buy into this idea that all of a sudden he's not going to be a top player because he had one bad season. I think next season he's going to be revitalized. I think he's going to do really well. I think it's a great signing for Man United. And then I think those are the only signings they've made. I think they are in talks to sign Rasmus Højlund, who is a striker player who plays for Atalanta. Now I've never watched this guy. I only heard about him like literally this transfer window because Man United are being linked with him. Now apparently Atalanta want 70 million euros for him. Now for a guy I've never heard of, I think 70 million is a bit too steep. However, obviously it's Man United. It's not really it's got nothing to do with me, but I think that's a bit too much if I'm being perfectly honest. But obviously Man United are in desperate need of a striker, and he apparently is like a great prospect. But for me, for a person who like has had half a good season in Serie A, scoring like 10 goals, and all of a sudden is worth 70 million, I'm not too sure. And then yeah, that's it with regards to Manchester United. I do not think there is anything. Obviously, they want to sell Harry Maguire. I think he's been stripped off the captaincy as well, but I haven't heard of anything in terms of bids coming in for him, and clubs trying to sign him. And then, is there anything else with Man United? I don't think so. I don't think there's anything else with Man United at this moment in time. And then that leaves Chelsea and Tottenham, I think, right? Yeah. I spoke about City, Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham. Who's the sixth club? The traditional top six. Who's the Liverpool. I've already spoken about Liverpool as well. That leaves Chelsea and Tottenham. Now, Chelsea are kind of trying to ship players off. So they're trying to sell a lot of their players because obviously last season Todd Bowley did a madness. He was signing everyone, signing every young player in Europe, signing Koulibaly, signing loads of players. So now they need to get rid of, they needed to get rid of a lot of the players so that they give Mauricio Pochettino, who is now their new head coach, a small squad to work with. Now, the only incomings that have come in for Chelsea is Nicholas Jackson, who is a striker from Udinese, I think. I don't really know a lot about him. And also Christopher Nkunku. Now, Christopher Nkunku, I do know a lot about him. He did really well at Leipzig last 2 seasons, played really well. He was their best player by far, and I think he's a good signing for Chelsea. Obviously, we'll see if he flourishes in the Premier League. I don't think there's any reason why he's not going to flourish, and I think he's a good signing for Chelsea. And then in terms of the outgoings, I've already said they've sold Edouard Mendy, they've sold N'Golo Kante, they've sold Koulibaly, they've sold Loftus Cheek, they've sold him to AC Milan. They've sold Mason Mount to Man United. So there's quite a lot of players that Chelsea are selling. And part of the reason why they're actually selling a lot of players is because they needed to comply with financial fair play rules because they spent a lot of money last season without selling too many players. So that's why they needed to sell quite a lot of players so that they are in a good space with regards to financial fair play. Obviously, because you don't want to break the financial fair play rules and stuff like that. I know some of you might say that's ironic coming from a Man City fan, but I'm not gonna answer that. And then obviously Tottenham. Now the major signing Tottenham have made is that they've signed James Madison, which I think is a great signing for them in terms of the creativity that it's going to bring to them. Obviously, also they also have a new head coach in Ange Postecoglou, who is coming from the league in Scotland, the Scottish Premiership. He's coming from Celtic, I think. He did really well there. Now it remains to be seen whether he's going to do on the Premier League. But I've actually listened to a few of his press conferences. I think he's pretty impressive. I think he has the potential to do well. You can get like quite a lot from watching the first press conference of a manager. And when I conference, I was impressed. I thought he speaks really well. So and then also Tottenham have signed a goalkeeper called Vicario, I think. Now this goalkeeper is highly rated in Italy. He's from Italy. He's highly rated. People are calling him the next Buffon. Now, I don't know how true that is because I've never watched him, and I'm sure even most Spurs fans have never watched him. But apparently, he's going to be really good. And obviously, they've gotten rid of Hugo Lloris, who was obviously their captain for a number of years. He's now left the football club. Obviously, he was shocking last season, making errors just like De Gea at Man United, and they have now parted ways with him. I don't know what he's gonna do, but he's basically thingy. They've parted ways with him, and yeah, that's that situation. I'm not too sure of. I think they've also signed a guy called someone Solomon. I forgot his name, but his surname is Solomon. Now again, I don't know a lot about him because I've never watched him play. And so I can't really comment in terms of great signing, bad signing, because like I don't really know a lot about him. And yeah, I think that's it with regards to the transfer updates. Now like I've done a video here, like it's 53 minutes now already. I think that's a bit too long to be honest. I didn't actually want to do a video that's that long. But I was just kind of like catching up with the transfer updates and stuff like that. I'll try and make the videos a bit shorter because I don't think anyone has the time to listen to a 50-minute video. Obviously, if you do have time, yeah, you can do that. But it's a bit too long for my liking. But I just wanted to kind of do a quick recap of the transfer updates. And then just a quick brief on Manchester City. We're currently going to Asia, I think, on a preseason tour. Other clubs are already on their preseason tours. I think Arsenal recently played against the MLS All Stars. They won 5-0. I think Chelsea also played some team. I forgot what it is. They also won. I think they won. I forgot. Like, listen, with regards to preseason games, I don't really like. I don't have access to preseason games because our TV subscriptions here in South Africa they don't like have preseason games. They only have the Premier League, the Champions League, the Europa League, the Europa Conference League, the FA Cup, and the League Cup, I think. And La Liga and Serie A. We also don't have the French League or the Bundesliga. So I can't follow preseason games. I can only watch highlights, which I actually haven't had the time to watch them. So yeah, I've kind of like I'm not really kind of up to date with the preseason friendlies that have been played, but obviously I will probably watch highlights of the City preseason games, and then I'll kind of give updates on that, and then also I will make I will make like videos previewing games when the Premier League is going to start, but I'm gonna try not make them too long, as I've said, because I'm also at school, so I don't have the time to like do a 1 hour video. That's too long. So yeah, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Now, no one actually tuned in the stream, but that's not the point. It's the consistency that will get the viewers up. But I appreciate you guys following the channel. Please subscribe to the channel. Like the video and push the notification bell. I haven't done this in a long time, so it's kind of like what should I say now? Push the notification bell so that you can get notified each time I post a new video. And I appreciate you guys supporting the channel. Please keep supporting the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I'll probably do another video tomorrow. Maybe I'll speak about Benjamin Mendy, who was accused of rape and has since been cleared of that. Maybe I'll do a live on that one actually, because that's a pretty interesting topic. So yeah, guys, appreciate you guys supporting the channel, and I will see you guys in a bit. Thank you for watching the video and the stream. The stream will stop immediately, it'll be live. Yeah.